After that point, schooling has sort of become a way of educating the masses about how to be a worker and how to be a voter. Noise.
There is a demon in the basement. Educational system. Looking at the bigger picture and the vision.
Go! Substructura de polvo.
Very good, very good. Alright, ready? Hello everybody and welcome to the Silent Smirk podcast, where we believe that everyone's lives are just as complex as our own. I am your host, Michael Ornek, joined by my co-host, Nate Gilbert. We are excited to welcome Danielle Morocco onto the podcast today, founder and president of a women's empowerment organization, Girl Up, and your future teacher. Danielle is a highly motivated leader who strives for greatness. Welcome, Danielle. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Michael?
Good. Are you going to ask Nate how he's doing?
How are you doing, Nate?
I had too much caffeine.
I can tell.
Okay, so let's start off with an icebreaker, right? Name, because I don't know if anyone knows your name, where you're from, and what you like to do on a Sunday afternoon.
Well, my name is Danielle. I'm from Stoughton, Massachusetts. I grew up in between Stoughton and Dorchester in Boston. On a Sunday afternoon, I really like going to the yoga classes at the rec on Sundays. That's probably my favorite part.
Dope. Nate, what about you? That's one part of the icebreaker.
What, my name?
Yeah.
I'm Nathan, aka Nate.
Hi, Nate.
That's what Michael calls me. I'm from somewhere in Massachusetts called Sudbury, Massachusetts. Farm town. Boring, but it's a good time.
Yeah.
Sunday afternoon, I don't know, play guitar,
Nice.
chill out.
Well, my name is Michael. I am from the beautiful town of Harvard, Massachusetts. And what I like to do on my Sunday afternoon is read. Yep. I'm trying to act educated and whatnot. Alright, Danielle. So you are the founder and president of an organization called Girl Up. It's very impressive. I see you're very active about it on LinkedIn. And my first question to you is, what is Girl Up?
So Girl Up is a campaign founded by the UN Foundation. As the name states, they work with the UN quite often. It was started in 2010, and they had an emphasis on girls-related issues, and they wanted to accelerate social change. As the years have gone by and as different issues have popped up, they sort of have less of a focus on girls-related issues, but have moved more towards social inequalities in general.
And so I'm assuming so this is a large-scale organization right across the U.S. What motivated you to start it specifically at UMass?
So when I was thinking about UMass as a campus as a whole, I noticed that the campus climate was not as strong as it should have been for women. I noticed a lot of women in particular sort of felt unsafe and underrepresented on campus. So I decided to start Girl Up UMass to sort of give them a place to meet other women, to meet other people like them, and to sort of give them a voice and to accelerate change on our campus.
Yeah, and can you talk a little bit more about the underrepresentation of women and then the ways in which they felt unsafe specifically at our university?
So the biggest example that comes to mind is the controversies surrounding the frats, particularly Theta Chi, which occurred our freshman year at UMass. I know that there were a lot of protests in the aftermath, some of them which I was a part of, particularly in that April and right as it occurred. I know a lot of women sort of feel unsafe when it comes to the frats on campus, and that they feel as though the campus is not doing enough when it comes to Title IX, when it comes to rape victims, sexual assault survivors. And after the underrepresentation, a lot of the girls who I have that join Girl Up UMass, they say that the only representation that they really get to see is their mom, which is really upsetting to see because a lot of these girls, their moms are like either single moms who are working with AI, working in STEM, or moms who are nurses, teachers. And I wanted them to see that there are other women out there like who they are, and that they can become women to be role models for little girls.
Danielle, that's awesome. And I guess going back a little bit, I don't know what Title IX is.
Oh, Title IX.
Mhm.
So Title IX is. Sorry, Nathan's face
It's
made me
okay,
laugh.
laugh all you
So Title. So Title IX,
Yeah.
it's a bill that was passed. I can't remember what year it was passed, but it was passed around 50, 60 years ago. And Title IX is sort of to ensure that there is equality and equity, no matter what sex, gender, or race class that you identify with.
And I guess for the frats, right? Because, everything that happened at Theta Chi, I guess some context, right? There was rape accusations that were proven correct, right? The members of Theta Chi were deemed guilty. Was it a member or was it plural?
It was, as far as I know, it was one member in particular that they were questioning, but Theta Chi has had several accusations over the years.
Okay. And girls still go to the frats, right? Guys go to the frats. I guess from your perspective, how would you like frats to foster a safer environment?
I would like for frats to have to undergo training individually and as a whole about sexual violence, gender-based violence, and how they can sort of prevent it in their own homes. I know that there are other movements on campus trying to get those trainings, such as UMass Against Rape Culture.
And so, again, when did you start Girl Up? When was the time?
I started Girl Up in July 2022.
July 2022. How did you begin creating Girl Up? What were some of the first steps that you had to take?
So the first step was actually, I was on LinkedIn looking for other women leadership organizations. I was part of an organization called the Women's Network at the time, but I wanted to sort of find an organization that was based more in advocacy rather than professional development.
And then, I guess, some of the challenges you faced at the start.
So the first challenge I faced was recruitment. What I had done was create an Instagram, which is how I met my first officer and one of my good friends, Anisha, who I know Nate knows.
Shout out Anisha.
Oh yeah, I know.
So then the next steps from there was trying to create an e-board at first, because the first step of getting RSO approval is having a full e-board. So I found a bunch of people to join, and then our next step was trying to gain RSO approval.
What's RSO?
Registered Student Organization. So basically a club on campus. So then we were in the process of trying to gain that RSO approval, which we have still yet to gain, but hopefully next Saturday, we find out if we do. So fingers crossed. And the other challenge we had was trying to find a space on campus where we could host events and where girls could come to.
And I guess so you can shout out Girl Up and spread the message. Where and when do you guys meet? If anyone is watching and is interested.
So we meet on Mondays at 7 p.m. in the Elm classrooms, which is right in the Honors College. We're usually in room 228.
Also, I guess a little bit of context for everyone watching. Myself, Danielle, and Nate, last year we lived in the same dorm house, Baker. We all got pretty close, we all laughed together, enjoyed some good times. And yeah, I mean, now we're all separated, but it's really good to see everybody together, right? Really furthering our growth and trying to keep a straight face while doing it. Okay, so we sort of talked about the build up of Girl Up. What do you what do you hope to accomplish? What are your goals?
Honestly, one of the main goals I have right now is to start a mentoring program, whether it's with the schools in the Amherst community or whether it's connecting some of our more senior members with our brand new members.
Senior members with brand new members. And how do you interact with your e-board? Is that the correct term? How do you interact with the leadership?
I would say it's honestly really casual. One of the things we talk about constantly is how much we love the fact that we can just be women together. So after we're done going over our agenda during our e-board meetings, I find that we're usually there for another hour just talking about whatever is going on in the world. Our current hot topic has been the Barbie movie, along with what kind of clothes we want to wear to class that week, what kind of books we're reading. It's very stereotypical girly stuff, but I do think women need a space where they can just be feminine, and I find that with these women.
What is the value of women being able to embrace their femininity?
I think the value in it is it's sort of, for me personally, it makes me feel more whole and connected to myself when I have a space to be feminine, whether it's just me putting makeup on in the morning, doing my hair, whether it's just like hanging out with my girlfriends. Having a spot like that, it makes me feel well-rounded as an individual.
Yeah, I full-heartedly agree with you, and I think that's an important message that you're spreading, because recently I've learned the value of embracing my masculinity, spending time with men, doing things that are generally deemed masculine to improve my confidence and make me more well-rounded. So I recommend that. And so you founded this, right, Girl Up? It's not easy to create something, no matter how humble you want to be, right?
That's true.
It's not easy at all. What advice do you have for people who are looking to start something new?
I guess my main advice would be stay consistent. Even if it's just a little bit every day, it adds up. There have been days where all I can do for Girl Up as a whole is just create our Instagram posts for the week. There are other days where I can create our PowerPoints for the next month and create all the agendas. But I would rather just get one little thing done and remain consistent in my values and focus towards the club rather than just do nothing at all.
And then, let's say you're having a stream where things just aren't going, right? Maybe the Instagram post isn't popping off. You're not getting what you want out of all your effort and time. How do you still keep yourself motivated to pursue on?
I remind myself that people need a space like this, and that honestly, some of it is for myself because it makes me happy having an organization like this for myself, for my friends, and for others. So reminding myself that people need things like this, even if it's just they come to one meeting or they're coming to every single thing that we have throughout the entire year.
Yeah. So the way I understand that is you're motivated because others need what you're promoting, right? Who has motivated you? What are some people you draw a lot of inspiration from?
I draw a lot of inspiration from... Oh, that's such a good question. I draw a lot of inspiration from my twin sister, Nicole. Because everyone I've met in my entire life, I've never met someone so extremely stubborn. Once she has her mind set on something, she keeps doing it. And that's something she's taught me, and something I've definitely valued over the lifetime I've shared with her.
Do you think it's important to be stubborn?
I think it is, because when you're stubborn, you aren't willing to give up on something.
Where do you draw the line for stubbornness? Is there a line?
I think the line could be when, if you're being too stubborn, then your relationships with people and with others are starting to hinder.
Yeah. Well, I guess, when, I don't know how related this point is, but when you're on the road of success, your relationships with a lot of people do end up hindering because you just don't have the time, and maybe part of that is a result of your stubbornness, right? Your stubbornness to keep putting effort into whatever realm you're trying to succeed in. I think, what you said, I agree with that, but I think it really depends on the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Of they're being stubborn. That situation, nothing really pops to mind on the opposite side. When I think about it, I will send you a very long email.
Okay, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Oh, do the viewers know about your Palm phone?
Oh, yeah. Actually, I better even.
What'd you call it?
His Palm phone, that's what he calls it.
Yeah, so for the, my 30 subscribers, I have this phone, and it's called a leg phone. Nate thinks it's stupid.
I think it's cool.
Danielle thinks it's cool. But it's basically a minimalist phone with a Kindle white paper screen. It texts, it calls, it even has a navigation system. Now, but I'm not sponsored by iPhone. If you can sponsor me, I would truly appreciate that. But it does the job, it's good, it keeps me focused. And yeah, that old iPhone, I'm actually using it to record. That camera I'm looking at right now, that's what I have. So it still has a use.
Yeah, so when Michael and I are trying to contact each other, it's either very short text messages or emails.
Yeah. Yeah, it's texting is my last resort. And most of the time, people think I'm intoxicated when I text because there's so many typos.
Nope.
Yeah, Nate can credit to that. Okay, so LinkedIn. I really do want to talk about LinkedIn. we joke about it all the time, but a lot of people in our year, maybe a year below, year above, they're applying to jobs, and I see LinkedIn to be of great importance. I consider it the industry standard for networking.
Mm-hmm.
How do you interact with LinkedIn, and what advice do you have for people trying to dabble their foot in, maybe give a master class on
Dabble their foot in
LinkedIn?
So LinkedIn, I was actually advised against getting LinkedIn because at the time I only had wanted to pursue teaching, and you don't really need LinkedIn to get a teaching job. Not a lot of schools tend to post job openings on there. But I decided I wanted to make a LinkedIn because I'm also interested in the law. I'm interested in education policy. So I decided to create that LinkedIn so I could get more job openings. I'm sorry for laughing. The washing machine kept going off. So I guess my advice for someone trying to start a LinkedIn is trying to connect, whether with old professors or teachers that you know, and connecting with other peers in your class and checking out their LinkedIns to sort of get examples on how you should create a profile.
And how have professors impacted your college experience?
A lot. That's actually a really good question. One of my majors is English, and in English we have to take English 200 before we can take any other English class. And the professor I had in there challenged me to think about literature in a way I had never thought about it before. One memory that comes to mind is we were reading Their Eyes Were Watching God, which is one of my favorite books of all time. So I had already read it before I encountered it in this setting. But when we were going through it again, I had noticed so many things that I hadn't noticed in my initial readings, and I thought about it so much differently in context of like sex, gender, religious themes throughout it. And it's honestly, I still reread it all the time.
Nice. Nate, any professors that have impacted your college experience?
Nope. All I do is math. It's just numbers.
Big boy numbers. Yeah, I mean, I have a saying, right? It doesn't matter the class, it matters the professor. You can have an arbitrarily boring class, but a professor who is really passionate about the subject, and their passion is infectious, right? And goes to you. For me, that was like my U.S. history class, right? I mean, U.S. history is important and all, but it's a lot of dry facts.
Oh, that was high school.
High school, yeah, okay.
Oh,
Well, college. Actually, I had an English writing class with both.
Mm-hmm.
Our professor was an asshole, right? Because he would call you out on things. But I appreciate, and he'd call you out on things, and he wouldn't be nice about it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the exact opposite of what other English teachers do right there. You can never have the wrong answer. It's okay. But he called you out. And as in, like, with a more technical mind, I really appreciated that, right? Because he also commend you on it. And I understand asshole is a very strong term, but I think it was important that he had that part of him. And I'm not saying it was all of him, he had that little bit in him. But it was really important because I was really motivated to try in this class. Because he'd give approval when he meant it, not just for some, little thing you came up with by raising your hand. And he let us, choose our own projects with our own creative. Like, we could choose any creative approach we did. And when his grading was harsh. Not the final grade, but his comments, he'd be like, this sucks. But I got so much out of that class. Because of a professor who really liked the subject and wasn't scared of sugarcoating things. So sometimes it's important to be an asshole as a, teacher. Not all the time.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe a small smidge of the time. But I really appreciate the way he taught. Little tangent, but I think it was important to the subject. Okay. So we talked about grow up. Yeah. Let's switch over to education, right? You're gonna be a future teacher. I know you're going to kill it.
Thank you.
Right? Why do you want to be a teacher?
Teaching had come to me as a career naturally. The first game I had played as a child was school. That's when my parents had told me. And I wanted to be a teacher because I had always enjoyed being in the school environment, enjoyed the routine, but I also had admired the fact that I could learn something new every day. As I grew older, I realized I wanted to be a teacher because I grew up in Title I schooling. In Title I schooling, to be frank, it's where schools don't receive a lot of funding and there are a lot of behavioral issues in the area, particularly in that school district. So I had grown up seeing kids with hand-me-downs, grabbing things out of lost and found. I have seen kids getting the free lunch. I have been the kid getting the free lunch at schools. And I had wanted to be able to be in an environment like that and sort of be someone's beacon of light.
Touches the soul.
Yeah.
Right. So along the way, right, you've had a lot of teaching experience. I think I wrote some of these down. Yeah, counselor and training, Center for Youth Engagement. You've been a TA and an 8th grade teacher. I guess, how have these past experiences impacted the way you view the educational system and the way that you want to take your unique approach towards it? Maybe not unique, but your approach.
So I would say the overall theme of these experiences have been social and class inequity, because in the areas I was working in and with the youth I was working in, it was kids who were struggling, and they were struggling because of the system placed against them. So, like, for example, my work with Center for Youth Engagement, I'm making textbooks for kids, for incarcerated youth. And these are kids who have been affected by the school to prison pipeline. And these are kids who will be 13 years old. They've committed a crime because they were struggling, but they still have to go to school. So it's my job to sort of make textbooks, but also scaffold to these kids, because they've been in and out of schools, in and out of these facilities their entire life. So they don't have the same level of skills that they should have at that age. Sorry, I just heard the water. Yeah. And because of these experiences, it's made me view America's education system as one that is struggling and unfair currently. But I also view it as a place that can change, because of right now, a lot of teachers are protesting and sort of doing quiet quitting at their jobs and sort of asking for these rights for themselves and for their students.
What is quiet quitting?
Quiet quitting is when you only work what is stated in your contract. So a lot of teachers are sort of expected to take work home when really their school day ends at 4 p.m., for example.
Okay.
So instead of like going home and making all these decorations and paying for it out of pocket, or doing all this grading outside of home with a device that you may have had to purchase on your own, because sometimes schools don't always provide you with one, you're only doing it from 7 to 4 instead of doing it 7 to 7.
Okay. So then what happens to their teaching style or like curriculum, or like do their lessons get worse since they're not putting in that extra time that other teachers may be putting in?
A lot of teachers sort of share their lessons with one another, or the state usually provides lessons through the curriculum. So not every lesson is handmade. So I wouldn't say lessons are being detrimentally affected by it.
Can you talk a little bit about the history of the public educational system?
What is that noise?
There is a demon in the basement. Why are you laughing?
I'm sorry.
So he lives in the basement, right?
Okay.
He does her laundry for her.
That's so nice of him.
I know, like he's really thoughtful. Yeah, does her laundry for us. Make sure everything is good. Plumber, handyman. Yeah, he's just tinkering on some things downstairs. He's washing clothes right there.
Okay.
Yeah. You might hear him later. He might come on to the podcast.
Okay.
Yeah. He wanted to meet you, but he's really shy.
I can meet him another time.
Yeah, it's okay. Maybe like off air.
Yeah.
Anyways, can you talk a little bit about the history of the public educational system?
Yeah, so the public education system in America sort of started out once people started coming to America. So the Puritans has sort of started their own schooling system as a way to educate little kids on the Bible. But formal schooling didn't really become a thing until Massachusetts made it mandatory for everyone to go to school. This happened...
So Massachusetts was the first.
Yeah.
We do it all.
We always do it first when it comes to education. Yeah. And then schooling has sort of... after that point, schooling has sort of become a way of educating the masses about how to be a worker and how to be a voter. Mm-hmm. I would say right now the public education system has shifted more towards only being a worker in America.
And what kind of worker?
So initially, they were trying... Well, they are still trying to get people used to having those long hours. So like 7 to 2, 7 to 3. Sort of giving up their fundamental rights of like being able to eat whenever you want or going to the bathroom wherever you want. Because which is like so stupid.
Go to the bathroom wherever you want.
Oh, whenever you want. Excuse me. So there's sort of...
I still do that.
Okay, Nathan, we know that you do.
He does it in his pants.
Okay, all right.
So they're sort of just getting you used to having that boss dynamic with a teacher, so someone in a position of authority, and having you be the worker as a student.
Sure. And, I mean, that makes sense.
Yes. That's how everything is, though. Your parents,
Yeah.
kids, there's always someone with authority.
But I think it's... There's a really good point there, right? There always is someone in authority until you become your boss, right? But I think it's the intentions of the people in authority. Your parents want most parents. I don't want to generalize, but they want you to be. They want you to succeed. They want you to be safe. They want you to be comfortable, to be happy, right? And I think some of these things conflict themselves, right? Because maybe your safety might get in the way of you succeeding.
Mm-hmm.
But that's one thing. I think in the educational system, or the way I see it, they want you to be a complacent worker who, as you said, can work the long hours with minimal breaks. And obviously it's wrong, but something I've really been struggling with is trying to find a feasible solution that can actually work. Because historically we've always had the masses. We've always had these people who take, the struggles of the world and put it on the backs for the few to flourish. It's always been that way. And I'm asking this question that I don't know the answer to, right? I'm curious to know what you think, but what changes can we make so that these people have the ability to think independently,
I think there has been a huge push right now in American schools of stuff involving technology and AI. And as a writer and as a teacher, I do not like AI in schools, and I do not like technology in schools for the most part. I believe personally in district-wide cell phone bans, or at least having the phone pockets in classrooms.
What about my cell phone? I have a ban on that.
But we do see a lot of the material kids are producing is either AI generated or just things that they plagiarize online. And I think sort of a way to get kids to think for themselves again is there's no way we can eliminate AI from our lives, but I do think we can have a pushback on AI in classrooms. And another thing we have noticed a lot in the education system is learned helplessness after COVID.
Helplessness after COVID?
Yes.
Okay.
So this sort of learned helplessness phenomenon, kids got used to all the grace that they were given during COVID. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't have given grace during COVID, but I'm saying kids got too used to it. Yeah. I have done some teaching in schools, and I noticed the learned helplessness very heavily, particularly in freshmen. One moment I can recall is we had given the kids a worksheet with questions with sentence starters, and this girl put her head down, and I came over and I said, like, "What's wrong, sweetie? Can I help you with anything?" She was like, "I don't know how to start it. I don't know how to get through it." So I was like, "Okay, so why don't we think of some ideas and we can brainstorm together?" And she knew what to write about, and she knew her thoughts and her opinions. She just didn't want to write it. So I said, "Yeah, the ideas that you have are great. Like, let's put pen to paper and get started." So I sat with her the entire time that she wrote, because she didn't want the help. She had wanted someone to be there to push her. She could think for herself. She just wanted another person.
Yeah. Yep. And I think we're all guilty. I mean, I don't know if I can speak for you, right? Because you're bossing up. But during COVID, I did the bare minimum. I sat on my Zoom on my phone, doing nothing. Got out, did my 5 minutes of homework, played my video games, watched TV, played hacky sack, and then slept. Good times, by the way. Like, vibe. But right, like when I got out of it, I forgot what it was like to struggle to find an answer. I started taking the easy approach, and it's something that I'm still trying to rewire my brain out of, to take account of take account of the problem, because they're getting a lot harder than they used to.
Yeah, no.
Tell me about it. So then, how do you view? And I kind of know the answer to it, but I really want to know.
Okay.
How do you view online class, Zoom education?
I think some kids do need online schooling. There are some kids who it's easier for them to not sort of be in that general ed classroom. Sometimes it's easier for them to be at home and online. So I do think online schooling can have a place sometimes. Whether it's someone who just wants to drop out of high school and they're absolutely sure of it, but they still want a GED, or if it's someone who just can't be in a gen ed classroom, I'm all for online schooling. But if another pandemic happened right now and we had to do online schooling, I would be very nervous about it, because I'm not sure how much our students would be getting out of it.
Yeah. Like I said, our students. You're already thinking like a teacher. So, how much more time do you have left at UMass becoming I don't know if they have a teacher school after that. They do? I guess before I ask the follow-up question, so you get your undergrad in English, right? Education too?
I have it in, so my full major is English STEP 4+1. And that is the secondary teacher education prep program. So I'm currently following a checklist of all those classes. The +1 is my master's in education. So I'm also taking grad classes. Also, in my English major, I have a creative writing concentration, but that doesn't really relate. And then I have a secondary major in legal studies. Yep, it was very confusing trying to write that all out on my LinkedIn.
So if you don't want to be a teacher, you could be a lawyer.
Yes, I am interested in, after teaching for a while, moving into education law and policy.
Sure. You represent me too, if anything.
Absolutely.
Friends discount. Nate too. You gotta get something, right? When this podcast becomes super successful, people are suing us for stuff. I don't know, but you got us, right?
I got you guys.
Okay.
Cue the intro.
Okay. Nate wants me to freestyle on this podcast. Going in full blast. We got our girl Danielle on the show today, talking about the educational system. Looking at the bigger picture and the vision. They're teaching us to be complacent. It's okay, cause my buddy Jason is spitting all these bars and I'm really feeling myself. Got my brick phone, looking like a candle white on my paper. Putting all these notes down, put it in a file in my mind someplace. In a drawer, doesn't even really matter, cause I'm taking mine to mortar. Okay, we got a good show going. Where is this gonna go? I don't even really know, but I'm so dialed in. How can I ever go back? I'm chilling on that track, adding all of my money up to take a step. That was fun.
That was good.
I don't think I breathed that whole time.
I don't think you did either.
Okay, so during our intermission, we were talking about snacks,
Mm-hmm.
right?
What?
So, some context, right? Danielle is shocked. She has snacks for her students, as the boss teachers do. Now,
Where do you work? Where do you work?
This was when I was doing some student teaching, but over the summer I was a supervisor at a summer camp, so I had to manage a bunch of counselors and their kids. And then I also ran and developed a CIT program there. But what Michael's talking about is a lot of the kids I was working with, they were either in the foster care system or they were getting vouchers from the state, so then they could pay to come to our summer camp. So on purpose, there were extra sandwiches in my backpack, and these extra sandwiches were handed out during lunch, real sneaky. And one time my boss caught me making said sandwich, and she was like, "What are you doing? Like, we hand out free lunches." And I go, "I know.
it's for me.
Kids get more hungry."
Oh, that's nice.
They really appreciate that. And I was also telling Danielle, right? I can't relate to that too much, but I really valued teachers who would have snacks with them. Because when I was in elementary school, right, I'd have like the healthiest, nastiest lunch.
And kids would make fun of you for it.
Yes, right? It would be like the weediest bread with cream cheese.
Bologna.
Just like, anyways. But I knew that my teachers had Rice Krispie treats. Right? So I'd go up to them and I'd say, I forgot my lunch again. And they'd be like, Michael, this is the 5th time this week that you forgot your lunch. So yeah, I'd end up with like 5 or 6 Rice Krispie treats a week.
Or what I used to do is I used to bring sushi a lot to work, and I would never finish the last piece on purpose, and I would always give it to like the same kids. I'd be like, "Oh, okay, who wants to try the California roll today?"
Teaching kids a lot of money. Yeah. It's kind of crazy, because when I was younger, I looked at my teachers as these supreme beings, right? These all-knowing, because they were in a position of authority, right?
Mhm.
We're rarely encouraged to question authority. And now I'm at the age where my friends, my peers, people just a few years above are becoming teachers, and now the cycle is going back around.
Yeah.
What were your early impressions of teachers?
I had felt the same. I had viewed them as supreme, but I also viewed them as a source of comfort and as friends, because I was always the teacher's pet growing up. So I had viewed it like that, but I hadn't really understand myself being in that position of power until this past summer. I had an incident with my kids, and I sort of had let my emotions get the best of me in the moment, and I did like raise my voice at them, which is totally against my philosophy when it comes to interacting with children. Yeah. But after that, like I sat down all the kids, and I said to them, I said, I'm sorry, like an adult should never ever yell at you, and I should have never said that. What can I do better next time? I should have like listened and respected your emotions at first. And then the kids were honest with me. They were like, yeah, no, like we could see like what was going on was getting to the best of you, but like you shouldn't have yelled, and we would like prefer like next time if we all sat down calmly after an hour or two and discussed the situation instead.
And sushi too, right?
Yeah, I did give them food after that.
Also, like,
bribery.
I don't think I've ever seen you yell or raise your voice. So if you ever did that, I would be scared too.
Yeah, that's something I encounter a lot when I work with kids. Is I'm sort of painted as the quiet and dry teacher. Yeah. So a lot of like my coworkers would be people I went to high school with, and they're like, "Wait, you can like talk above like 5 decibels?" And I was like, "Yeah, no, I can."
Good for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, how has teaching helped you get out of your comfort zone?
I would say it's definitely made me more comfortable with being assertive, because when kids can see that you're not comfortable in that position, if you give them an inch, they take a mile. I've had kids like be like, oh, like you're the nice one, like we can just do whatever we want in front of you. I'm like, no, you can't do whatever you want in front of me. I know I can be lax sometimes, but just because I'm relaxed sometimes doesn't mean I'm relaxed all the time. For sure.
Oh yeah, you gotta do your Boston accent.
My Boston accent? Or like when I'm in Dorchester, or when I get upset and then the Boston accent really starts coming out heavy.
Yeah, what do you think about the Red Sox?
I love the Red Sox.
Yeah. Oh, I was watching this movie, The Perfect Storm. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it's a perfect it's like a perfect film about hardy New England town. It's got Mark Wahlberg.
Yes, Mark Wahlberg. I was about to say, isn't he in that? Yeah.
They have such a good cast. Yeah, gives me makes me feel proud to live in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, UMass, right? We all go to UMass Amherst. Why UMass?
So honestly, UMass, I did not meet the deadline for the application at first. I had gotten confused on their education website in the application I was looking at for when you're actually a sophomore already at UMass. So I thought I had missed it. And then I actually did miss the Common App deadline. Really? And I was like, oh, that's okay. Like, everyone and their mother goes to UMass Amherst. Like, I won't follow that trend. Until I realized I couldn't afford the other school I had wanted to go to. And I didn't like the other options I had. So I threw in an application for UMass super late, got waitlisted for 2 days. Then I got in.
Nice. Fastest waitlist response.
Yeah. So, and I'm really glad I chose UMass, because I really like how research heavy the school is. Mm-hmm. And that's why I'm so happy I get to do the research that I do now in education.
Do you have any future topics that you're looking to research?
I really...
Also, is it research or research?
Research.
Got quiet. Danielle went out the hammer. Research.
I really want to research and analyze education policy data, and sort of how certain policies, such as like No Child Left Behind, is affecting the kids that we have. I would also really love to research AI in English classes. I've been to some conferences where we've discussed like AI in the writing center. And I really want to see how that affects the classroom setting.
Do you think it's possible to strike a balance between AI and actually doing your work and using AI to help you out? A little bit? Couple paragraphs.
No, I honestly don't think so, because like some people are like, oh, you could just have it brainstorm for you, but then it's like that's not your original idea.
Right.
So then when you're writing it, your voice isn't actually coming through. It's someone else's voice.
Yeah.
And I feel like the main core of writing is
Critical thinking.
critical thinking and your voice, your opinion, your beliefs, because when you have heart, it shows through in your writing.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, Danielle, do you have any more questions?
Nope.
All right.
Thanks, Nate.
Danielle, thank you so much for being our guest today. Please be sure to like, comment, share. We could use anything we have. Any way we can improve.
And subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe.
Subscribe to. Thank you, Danielle. Danielle, if there's anything you want to plug, anything you do now, like we'll leave socials, everything in the comments down below.
Yeah, if you would like to follow Girl Up on Instagram, our Instagram handle is @GirlUpUMassAmherst. Yeah.
All right, Danielle. All right, guys. That's Danielle for you.
Thank you.